Hi, this is Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson.
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Leinart, 2004 Heisman Trophy winner.
Hey, I'm Zane Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm Matt Barry from ESPN. You're getting ready to watch one of the best college football podcasts ever. It's the Harris Highlight Show.
You're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you listen to the Harris Highlight Show. Enjoy it.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
Coming to you live, this is the Harris Highlight Show. Joining me this week is our college football analyst, Josh Schaefer, our college football expert, Lyle Goldstein, our executive producer, Brady Klain, and I am your host for the evening, Blake Harris. Gentlemen, it's Wednesday today. I think it's Wednesday. Who knows what day it is anymore?
It's Wednesday, my dudes.
How's everyone's week going over there?
So far, so good. Hoping that we can get another win tonight, Blake. This is a hat that is not mine, and I don't think it's been worn in easily 8 years. It's like a Velcro back. I was going to sell it on eBay, so
that's how you know it's good.
You know what? Let's get another win tonight, huh?
Yeah, when we did this show last week, I was going back and I was rewatching it when I was doing our Pickums tally board, and I think that's when the Dodgers went down either 2-1 or 3-1 in the series, and how quickly things can change over the course of 1 week.
Wasn't it 1-0?
Yeah, it's 1-0 now in the
No.
Series.
Last week wasn't it 1-0? 2-0?
All I know is they were losing in the series when we did the show last week. I don't remember what it was, but they're winning. Hey, thank you, Platoon. Got a nice little thing going. It'll be gone soon because it's getting too bushy, but I appreciate it. Guys, we have an absolutely jam-packed show this week. As you guys can tell by the title of this video, it is our Big Ten preview show. Earlier in the summer, we did a full SEC preview, Big 12 preview, ACC preview. Now with the Big Ten coming back this week, we are doing a Big Ten preview. When the Pac-12 comes back in a few weeks, we'll be doing a full Pac-12 preview. Sorry, Mountain West fans. I know you guys are back this weekend, but no preview for you, but we'll have a few Mountain West games in our pick'ems. Before we get to that, guys, make sure to follow us on Twitter at the HH Show _. Normally we do our show on Tuesday. We had to postpone it today, push it back for some things that were going on. And if you follow us on Twitter, you would have known that the show got pushed back. So whenever there's anything newsworthy or anything like that, you guys have to follow us on Twitter. That way you can keep up to date with the show and pretty much just have an idea of everything that's going on. You guys can also follow us on Instagram at Harris Highlight Show. Listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The link's in the description of this video, or you guys can go over to those platforms, search the Harris Highlight Show. You guys are going to find this there. You guys can help support the show by donating to the Super Chat. Throughout the show, we're going to be talking about different takeaways from this past week in college football. We're going to be talking about the Big Ten. If there's anything that we're not talking about that you guys would like to hear our opinions on, it could be our thoughts on a game from this weekend, our thoughts on a game for this upcoming weekend, thoughts on a player, anything you guys would like to hear our thoughts on. It could be $1, $5, anything that helps support the show, helps these guys, get some brand new equipment, helps us doing this show on a week-to-week basis, help us be able to pay Brady to do this show on a week-to-week basis, because Brady's only allowed 30 to 40 minutes per week on the show. And unfortunately, his timer ran out, so no time for Brady right there. Let me add him back in the show. Welcome back, Brady.
Hey,
you guys
thanks.
can also become a Patreon member. You guys can get some behind the scenes access, some really cool stuff that we're going to be doing very soon. We just still got to figure out when we can make it work. But if you guys want to get a Zoom call, a Q&A session with us, you guys can get access to that. A whole lot of behind the scenes stuff as well. It's really awesome. If you like the show, if you want to help support the show for as little as $1 a month, you guys can do that. So for all the information, go over to patreon.com/the Harris Highlight Show, or the link for that is in the description of this video as well. Guys, I think that's pretty much everything we got to get out of the way right now. Let's talk about some college football from this past weekend. Week 7, another week is in the books. I mean, the season for the most part is already more than halfway over, which is nuts at this point. I feel like I'm still getting used to it. I feel like we're only 2 weeks in. First game we got to talk about, guys, Alabama, Georgia. This was, and we lost Brady again. This is why with the super chat, we can help pay Brady to stay on the show. So it's that simple. It's that simple. But guys, Alabama, Georgia, this was the biggest game of the week. It probably was going to be one of the biggest games of the year because many people thought that this would be a national championship, let alone an SEC championship preview. Alabama, they come out on top. They cover. Great game, but Georgia was keeping it close. They were hanging in there for the first half. Then Alabama kind of, took away in the second half. What were you guys' thoughts, takeaways from this early test for both Alabama and Georgia?
So it was kind of the opposite of what we saw from Georgia a week ago against Tennessee, where pretty bad in the first half, and then things kind of switched around a little bit in the second half, and they were pretty good. It was a little bit of the opposite this week. I thought they looked a lot better in the first half. Look, I think that if anything, Georgia is still going to compete in the SEC, and I still think that they're a really competitive team overall. No disrespect to Stetson Bennett, but I don't think that he's tapped into his full potential yet, or Georgia has had their best quarterback play yet. It's kind of a bummer that we haven't seen JT Daniels or what's his name? It's fine.
Jamie Newman?
Yeah, Jamie Newman. But we've got two guys that we haven't got to see yet. Dude, I pinwheeled when the show was being introduced. I don't get why it's happening now. But
I've been kicked out twice, so I'm in your same boat as you are.
Yeah, and so we haven't seen Newman, we haven't seen Daniels, which is disappointing, but Stetson Bennett's been okay. Bottom line, I know they allowed Georgia to throw for nearly 300 yards. I know Georgia rushed for nearly 150 yards, but that doesn't change the fact that Alabama's defense was overwhelming. I think that when you have a defense that forces turnovers the way that they do, when you're Stetson Bennett and it seems like you're getting smothered constantly, even though you still almost threw for 280 yards or something like that. I think that just shows how good Alabama's defense really is. And when you've got a solid defense, and then on the other side of the ball, you've got Mac Jones throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think this is a good team. And I think outside of Clemson, Clemson and Alabama, for me right now, even if you're throwing in an 0-0 Ohio State team, these are the two best teams in the country by far.
I just want to say before we throw it to Lyle, Brady and I were talking about this one-on-one when Josh stepped aside to get water before Lyle got on. This was enough for me to think that there's no way Alabama loses until their eventual meetup with Clemson. Maybe depending on who they play in that first playoff game. Alabama, they're making the playoff. I'm going to do a Charles Barkley and guarantee it right now. They're fantastic. And I think the only team that has any sort of chance to take them down is Clemson. This Alabama offense, I'm going to talk about some of their, wide receivers later in the show for one of our segments. Georgia, I mean, everyone can agree they're probably going to finish as a top 4, top 5 team. And especially in that second half, because Georgia did have the lead going into halftime. But in the second half, I think Alabama outscored them 21-0. They just dominated. They looked like they're going to be unstoppable. So I don't even have to talk about, when Brady and Lyle are done talking. This is my segment because I don't think Alabama is going to be tested until that eventual, that everyone knows it's going to happen, Clemson matchup.
Did you say you're going to guarantee Bama will make the championship or the playoff?
Well, I'm going to guarantee they're going to make the playoff. I'm also going to guarantee they're making the championship, unless something weird happens where it's Clemson versus Alabama. It's like a 1-4 matchup in the first round, and that would be kind of weird. But yeah, no, Alabama, as long as they stay 1 or 2, because I think Clemson is 1. What does that say, Blake? Alabama? Yes. All right, put it on the board. Put it on the board. Hang that up and take it down after Alabama meets Clemson in the Natty.
There you go. It's on the wall. like they do like they do on the inside the NBA. It's on the wall.
Perfect.
Look, there's no doubt that this Alabama offense might be as good as we've ever seen. I think when we did our SEC preview and I talked about Devontae Smith, I said, like, Henry Ruggs is the fastest. Jerry Jeudy probably is the best all around of the 4 guys that were there last year. Most productive one's Devontae Smith. He had 11 catches, 2 touchdowns, and it's like his 3rd game going for over 100 yards. I mean, this Bama offense has been unreal. Mac Jones has been phenomenal. I'll tell you, though, bigger picture, who's got to be liking what they're seeing, and it's the Pac-12. And the reason the Pac-12 has to love watching what they saw this past weekend and what they saw as Georgia basically collapsed in the second half. I think Stetson Bennett's play basically lost them that game. The Pac-12 has to be hyped because look at the bigger picture here. You got Bama and Clemson, right? The Big 12, as we've talked about every week, is like allergic to decency even more than most years. So they're not going to be anywhere near the playoff this year. So you don't have the Big 12. You don't have probably Georgia, assuming they get to the SEC title and lose to Bama again. I mean, we'll get to this later. I don't think you have Notre Dame. So that leaves a spot open for somebody. If Oregon, if USC, if somebody else in the Pac-12 goes undefeated, wins the title game, there's a spot open right now. I think Pac-12 fans have to be hyped watching that game on Saturday.
I tweeted this, and I'm going to read this word for word, what I tweeted from the show's account. I said, and I quote, Jalen Waddle, =, very good at the football. You talked about Devontae Smith. Jalen Waddle, very good at the football. You know, I think it was 6 catches, 100. I think it was 6 or 8 catches. Blake, what was it? We said this a minute ago.
Yeah, we just went through it.
It was 6 or 8, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 6 catches. Yeah,
6 catches, 161 yards and a touchdown. That is called efficiency. That's almost as efficient as that Randy Moss game where he had like 3 catches, 3 touchdowns, and 180 yards. Some crazy stat line like that. So Jalen Waddle's really good at football. These guys are really good at football, but, you know, water is wet, the sky is blue. What else do I need to tell you?
Yeah, the fact that we're going to look back, I mean, we're looking back at it now, but definitely 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to think that at the same time, Alabama had Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith. And not to mention, guys, this John Mechie III, he's looking like he could potentially be a future stud as well. So that's 5 right there. This has a chance, you know, over the course of the last 2 years to be the greatest wide receiver core that any college football team has ever had at one given time, because we saw last year those guys were, I think Jeudy ended up going number 15. They were 2 top 15 picks. A lot of people expect at least Devontae Smith to be a top 15 pick, maybe Jalen Waddle, but Jalen Waddle is definitely going to be a first-round pick. So
no, I think Waddle's higher than Smith.
I've seen mock drafts kind of go either like back and forth, but they're probably both going to be.
Yeah, they're both going to be first rounders.
Yeah, they're also going to be the first team ever to produce back-to-back 2 first-round wide receivers.
Oh, it's insane.
It's nuts, and not to mention, you know, Najee Harris, their running back, fantastic. Matt Jones is good. So Alabama, as I mentioned, I don't think they lose. I know there's a prop bet out there for I think the New York Jets, where it's like, will they go winless? Will they win a game or something like that? If there was a prop bet for Alabama, will they lose a game the rest of the year? I guess maybe prior to their national championship matchup with Clemson, I would throw every single cent I had about they're not going to lose, because this Alabama team, they look good. Speaking about a team, guys, that didn't look good, we talked about them last week about, you know, are they a little overhyped? Should we be concerned with them? But North Carolina, they came out. It was probably their best game. You know, they just knocked off Virginia Tech. Sam Howell looked fantastic. And they come out and they lose to Florida State. I'm speechless, guys. I don't know how this happened. I think everyone can agree North Carolina was a little too overhyped. Having them at number 5 in the country, which I think they were, was a little too high. But they lose to Florida State. This is something that shouldn't happen for a team like North Carolina. Florida State has been just embarrassing so far this year, and North Carolina loses to them, and that pretty much, you know, maybe they can still compete for that ACC title game, but North Carolina, you guys had high hopes, and they're gone because you lost to Florida State.
Give me one of these, Blake.
Yeah.
Gone.
You gone.
All together, ready? 1, 2, 3.
What is it as Lyle says, like, you're done, like, goodbye, no more. My gosh.
Yeah, I didn't think – I actually thought that number 5 was good for them heading into the game considering what the current state of college football is and who's playing. So I was fine with North Carolina being number 5. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, I'm not super concerned with them right now. Like a loss to Florida State is embarrassing. It's really bad because that should not happen because Florida State is the state of the program is not great right now and they're not a very good team. The way that I look at this game is, number 1, it was defensive holding on the last drive of the game. It was not pass interference. In no way was that pass interference, but it was defensive holding. And it's an automatic first down. And then there's 3 consecutive dropped passes on that last drive of the game, including on 4th down. That can't happen. And I've said this all season. They legit might have one of the best groups of wide receiving cores in the country. That cannot happen if that's the case. So I think that Sam Howell deserved better. I think North Carolina did not deserve to win that game, but given their opportunities, they should have won that game. But the fact of the matter, you can't go down 24-0 to Florida State. It doesn't matter if you're in position to win the game on the last drive of the game. It doesn't matter if you get screwed over by a missed call. It doesn't matter if your wide receivers screw you over with 3 consecutive dropped passes at the most important play on the most important play of the game at the time. You cannot go down 24-0 to Florida State. Just like a couple weeks ago, I said this to you guys about the Rams game. Rams got screwed over because of a bad PI call. They had no timeouts. It was disappointing. They went down 21-0.
The Rams got screwed over by a bad PI.
Recency bias, Blake. We can have a whole show on this. We can have a whole show on this.
No.
Saints fans are going to keep complaining. You guys are pathetic.
Yeah.
Get the hell over it.
All right, Lyle, I muted both of them. It's you and I now. So they can they're going to stop whining and complaining. I put you both in timeout. I'm Tony Reale up in this thing. I got my mute button.
I can just unmute my own mic. You know that, right?
Did anybody else's screen freeze? Oh, maybe it's just me.
No, it was just Blake mumbling or faking words.
Yes.
Tony Reale up in this thing. I'm hitting the mute button on all y'all.
I'll just unmute myself.
Yeah, I know. All right, go ahead. Sorry, you guys were...
No, I was just going to say, this is all a bigger picture thing for me, and how I talked about the Pac-12 in our last segment. It's the same idea. North Carolina, yeah, they were probably a little overhyped despite their offense being as good as it is. But you got Ohio State probably. You got Clemson and Bama almost definitely. There's an open spot. Like that last spot for the college football is wide open. So if somebody in the Pac-12 really kind of takes a grip and blows a bunch of teams out this year, it's possible even with the short schedule. But North Carolina, yeah, they've got some things to figure out. I said I thought they were going to be good at the start of the year. I didn't think they were top 5 to top 8 good. Their offense is great. I mean, it's phenomenal. The 2 receivers they have, the 2 running backs they have, obviously Sam Howell. Defense is just a little bit of a problem. And that was my biggest worry is, do they have enough defensive pieces to last an entire year? And against Florida State, who nobody seems to think is very good, it certainly kind of showed this past Saturday.
Yeah, I was texting with a good friend of mine who's a Florida State fan and alum, and I sent him a text and like, hey, I just sent him a war chant gif, and they're like, about damn time. It's the most confusing, complex season in general for college football. But Florida State, man, they are just on a whole nother boat.
It's always something with them, which
it's always something.
Makes them entertaining. But North Carolina, again, the second half team, they looked a lot better, but those drops at the end, they could have won the game, but they didn't. One of the few final things before we move on, I guess this one's kind of more towards Lyle as our Notre Dame expert, but I wasn't watching the game, and Brady sends a text to our group chat, and he's like, Notre Dame with like a bunch of question marks, and I thought they were like upset or something, but I think they won, what was it, 12-7?
12-7.
I'm assuming they
went
had
up in the rankings.
Well, I was going to say, Lyle, was that 4 field goals, or was that like a touchdown, a field goal, a safety? How they hit the 12?
Touchdown, mixed extra point, and 2 field goals.
Okay, so they win 12-7 against Louisville, who's proven to be not a good team this year. The Fighting Irish, they haven't really had much of a test this season. Again, as we do every week, we overreact like crazy to every game. But Lyle, as a Notre Dame fan, is this something that concerns you, squeaking past Louisville, who again hasn't looked that good this year by only 5 points?
Oh yeah, I mean, short compact answer here is, yeah, it's concerning. I mean, Louisville's on average been giving up about 38 points a game. Notre Dame puts up 12. Yeah, it's concerning. I mean, if you're Notre Dame, you look at what they've done this year. They've beaten Louisville by 5. Florida State hung around way too long. I mean, Florida State was up at one point in that game in Notre Dame's third game of the year. And then Duke played them close for a bunch of the game. Like, if you're watching these games, Ian Book has not looked good. I mean, Tommy Rees, their new offensive coordinator, to be much of an offensive coordinator to me, at least. Like, their offense is kind of boring. But bigger picture here, I've seen people in the comments saying, I'm talking about the Pac-12. Well, why are you giving the Pac-12 all the love and benefit of the doubt? Shouldn't Notre Dame be the last team? No, because, and here's why. Because when they get to that Clemson game, I'm sure it's going to be 1 versus 3. Notre Dame will probably win their next 2 games. But you talk about a top 3 matchup. This has to be the least hyped top 3 matchup maybe ever. I mean, I expect Clemson to come in as 10 to 14 point favorites. I expect them to probably win by like 4 touchdowns, and they're going to control the game for almost the entire 60 minutes. Like, I don't think anybody's walking into that Clemson Notre Dame game November 7th saying, we got a good game tonight, like people probably thought for Bama, Georgia. I mean, that game is going to be so one-sided. And I think Clemson's just going to blow them out of the water. So that's why I said earlier, you don't really have Notre Dame when you're talking about this playoff picture. I mean, I think they're going to be undefeated when they get there, but they're going to get absolutely dismantled.
And we talked about this earlier in the year. I think we all kind of agreed, and especially me and Lyle, when we talked about this, there was going to be one game where somebody goes into South Bend, not a very good team, and gives Notre Dame a scare. We've seen it in the past, and I mean, not that Navy's a bad team, but Notre Dame should manhandle Navy every year they play, and Navy goes in and gives them a scare. This year it's Louisville. 2 years ago it was at USC against a below 500 USC team. It just seems like you're going to get one of these games every year from Notre Dame. They'll win. They're going to win, but it's going to be concerning for the rest of the season moving forward after a super low-scoring game against a team that they should beat by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of the things where, Josh, you brought up a great point, is we get those games and we get those teams every year. And we'll say it in the Pickums, but like, listen, like this team, I know they're going to lose, but this is the one team that could randomly keep it close with XYZ, whoever it may be. And that was this one for Notre Dame.
Yeah, so they're still undefeated, but I think Lyle pretty much hit it perfectly with everything that's going on with them, what their season could turn out to be. Guys, a few minutes left for a few final thoughts. I'm just trying to find where that banner went. Here it goes. One thing I want to mention, Arkansas, they're 500. I don't know what the stat is, but this has to be the latest in the season. They've been 500 in a long time. They're 2-2. And we've talked about this in the past, guys. I just want to reiterate it. Auburn, you guys aren't going to win anything. You might win games. You're not going to be competing for an SEC title and a college football playoff spot until you bring in the next quarterback recruit, and Bo Nix is no longer your starting quarterback. I think that's all I have to say. Guys, any other notable takeaways from this past weekend you guys want to briefly mention before we move on to our Big Ten preview?
Yeah, real quick, if we're going off that little lower third, Arkansas, a huge letdown game for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Arkansas picked off Matt Corral 6 times and had 2 defensive touchdowns. Like, the fact that Arkansas's offense was still not very good and still beat Ole Miss is impressive in its own right. Auburn, let me just go over this Bo Nix stuff. Dude was 50% again, with a touchdown and 3 interceptions against a defense that has surrendered 31 points or more in 2 of its 3 games this season. And the one game where they didn't give up 31 points was against Vanderbilt. They played Vandy and held them to 7 points. Their other 2 games, they'd given up on average 36.5 points. He has 2 touchdowns and 4 picks in his last 3 games. Like,
no bit.
And in those 3 games, they squeaked past Arkansas. They should have lost that game. They get embarrassed by South Carolina, and they get embarrassed by Georgia, where they put up like 6 whopping points. He just continues to be underwhelming and disappointing to watch. And like, and that doesn't relate to the entire Auburn team. But look, like, he is underperforming every week, and especially in these big games, you're not going to win anything as long as he continues to play like this. And
I mean, I don't mean to speak for everybody else in here. You guys can have your own opinions. But for me, there has been no signs of improvement whatsoever. And it's been 2 years.
Oh, my biggest thing with him, and maybe people wonder, wow, you guys like to give this guy a lot of slack, don't you? We do, but he's not just some random quarterback. The thing about this guy is it's where he was ranked coming out of high school compared to the guys that are just outplaying him by large margins when the lights are on. I mean,
Against
this guy
equal
was ranked,
competition as well.
Yeah, like this guy was ranked way ahead of Sam Howell. He was ranked way ahead of Jaden Daniels. He was ranked way ahead of Keaton Slovis. If I remember right, Slovis was a 3-star out of high school.
And his team was also not very good. Desert Mountain was terrible when he was there.
Like, and there's other guys at other positions that Bo was ranked over too. So I just sit there and think to myself, like, did they rig the rankings or what? Like, what were people watching? Because I've seen nothing in his year and a half to make me think, yeah, this guy was a top 40 recruit.
Yeah. So as we've said this on shows past, but if they had trades in college football where you can just trade people, that would make things so much better. Guys, there was one final thing that came out like 10 minutes before the show that I wanted to add to our docket. I thought this would be just like a fun thing just to each give our quick, like brief, like 30-second thoughts on. So Roddy White, he came out and he said, if I'm Trevor Lawrence, if the Jets finish with no wins and the number 1 overall pick, I just go back to Clemson. I don't want any part of that organization. Now, we've been talking about this a lot in the group chat over the weeks about Sam Darnold, how he literally needs to get out of there as soon as possible so he can at least have some chance to thrive as a quarterback. Adam Gase might be the worst coach I've ever seen in the NFL. And there's no way the Jets don't finish with the number 1 pick. Unless some miracle happens, the Jets are finishing number 1. If that's the case, Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 overall. Sorry, Sam Darnold. Hopefully you're traded for a 2029 7th-round pick. At least it's something you can get out of there. But, guys, if you're Trevor Lawrence, do you pull a move or one? You just say, you know what? I'm going to return to Clemson for another year and then just either sit out all of next year, or do you pull like what an Eli Manning and just demand a trade, hoping some other team can come in and trade for you? Because again, if he goes to the Jets, I'm sure he'll get his payday, he'll be fine. But do you want to risk, potentially your career early on to go to a dumpster fire organization that is the New York Football Jets?
Can I go first on? Oh,
go ahead, Lau. Go ahead.
Because I have a little bit of a hot take on this, but I'll keep it short. I think that's a better place for him to go than a lot of the teams that follow. Here's why. Everybody knows Adam Gase is getting fired. Like, Adam Gase knows Adam Gase is getting fired at the end of this season. Like, no, he's getting fired.
He has blackmail on someone in that organization, dude, because there's no reason for him still to be a head coach. They literally parted with Le'Veon before they parted with Adam Gase.
Well, think about it.
On someone.
They're keeping him there so they can keep tanking and make sure they get Trevor. But here's why I say it's probably better to go to the Jets than other places. You just got Mekhi Becton, who through a couple games, I know he's been in and out with an injury, but has looked solid. You've got 2 more first-round picks coming from the Jamal Adams trade. So you'll get Lawrence at 1, then you get somebody else at the end of the first round. You get
taking a whole lineman.
You get somebody in the 3rd round from the Adams trade, and then you get another first-round pick in 2022. Along with that, the Jets have been bad for a long time, but Joe Douglas, our new GM, a lot of people like. You'll have a new head coach in there, and you're going to accumulate a lot of draft picks. Like, I think that's a better place for him to go, for example, than Jacksonville or the Giants. Like, I think he has a chance to be really good with the Jets. Let's remember, sorry, I know I'm going long here. I'll wrap it up. Andrew Luck went to the Colts when they were, 2-14 or 3-13? 2-14. In 1 year, they went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, he can turn that franchise around in 1 year.
I'll say this. I'm going to jump in because I was looking at this earlier. And the Jets team, they traded away everybody. Yeah, it looked like they were trying to tank. No NFL team or no professional coach or player will try to tank on purpose. It just doesn't work like that. Yeah, there are guys maybe at the point in the year where, hey, maybe it's a game between the first pick and the 3rd pick. Well, you're probably going to maybe lose that game. But for an entire season, you're not going to have a mindset saying, we hate everything we have and we're going to tank. To start the year, the Jets did not have any of their top 5 original depth chart receivers going into training camp through the first couple of weeks. Some guys injured, some guys opted out. Their 2 highest defensive paid players, one traded, one opted out for the season. Their 1st-round draft pick, Mekhi Becton, hurt, out for a while. They don't have any of their main pieces to be a solid team at this exact moment. You have these guys back in a year. You have your top 5 receivers back. You have your first round draft pick in Mekhi Becton. You have some good defensive players. You get a good coach or even a decent coach. That's all you need is a decent
any coach. Any other coach. Literally
any coach.
Anyone.
Hopefully for his sake, Eric Bieniemy. But
bring in
anybody.
Even bring in Sark and things.
Here you go.
No.
Here's that. I know he's a defensive coach, but Robert Saleh, there you go. You poach him from the 49ers, boom, you're the head coach of the Jets. New York is such a sports-dominated city. You're telling me that Trevor Lawrence would not want to become the king of New York if he turns around the Jets organization. He would be idolized for generations. He would be the guy in New York. It would go Joe Namath, Trevor Lawrence.
Or he goes
Trevor
there
Lawrence would
and
be way
they
better
go
than
1
Joe
and
Namath.
15
I know, but
he's the most hated man in New York, and everything's an absolute
I know he'll be better, but I'm saying, stature-wise, and it's Broadway Joe. It's Broadway Joe. You're gonna get Broadway Trevor pretty soon.
Oh, true. No, he was a popular guy. Don't get me wrong. I just know in terms of actual production, he was just whatever.
Yes.
Name it. But yeah, everybody loved him.
Exactly.
Right,
he was the guy.
Yeah. Just
we have said this before. If I'm the Jets, I'm trading Sam Darnold this season. I'm trading Sam Darnold, sending him to the Colts, get something in return. If I'm the Colts, I'm trading for Sam Darnold because you bring in Sammy D, you let him sit behind Phil for a year or two. You let him work with that offensive line that's been pretty good this year. Mm-hmm. And then when Phil's done, you've got Sam Darnold.
When
on
Phil's
the other side
an
of
Alabama coach in high school football.
Huh?
I said when Phil's down an Alabama coach in high school football, you bring him in, and then boom, who's your backup quarterback? You got Jacob Eason.
No kidding.
And all the while, the Jets can simply trade Sam Darnold to the Colts, so that would work out for the Colts. That's more of like a Indy being interested, and I know Brady's interested. But if you do that trade and you're the Jets, you get something in return, maybe a draft pick if you're the Jets, and then you can turn that around, and then now you have all of these early draft because Sam Darnold is still a solid quarterback because he's just not looking good at all in that system because he's got nobody else around him. So if the Colts can save Sam Darnold, get something in return if you're the Jets, and suddenly you can take Trevor Lawrence at number 1 and have all these early picks to just build some sort of future around Trevor Lawrence.
Take a wide receiver because I love Jamison Crowder. He's been great for my fantasy team. He should not be your number 1 option. Nope. He should absolutely not be. All right, guys, we're going to talk about our 4 stars of the week before we get to our Big Ten preview. And then after the Big Ten preview, we'll go with our few other segments right there. But, guys, our 4 stars of the week, every week we take a player, coach, team, anything we want. It could be the local hot dog vendor for all we care. And make him our
Lemonade
star.
guy.
There you go. Lemonade guy. Make him our star of the week. So, guys, our stars of the week, Brady, if you can get that graphic loaded up. Ready to go.
I have a photo of the Lemonade guy if anyone ever wants to use him as a star. So
yes.
just that as a heads up.
All right, so we got our 4 stars of the week. Josh, I'll kick it to you since yours is on the very left. I'm upset because I was going to go with him, but you claimed him first. So, Josh, your star of the week. Let's hear it.
I texted our group chat last Saturday during the game. I said, win or lose, I'm taking Brady White this week. And the reason why I was going to take him win or lose, and Dylan Gabriel can throw for 600 yards any week he wants. I wasn't taking him in this game, and the reason why is Brady White's 486 yards and 6 passing touchdowns, 7 total. That just scratches the surface on why this was the best game of his career. And of course, he started at Arizona State. He's a Southern California guy, ends up with Memphis. He's been great for them the past couple years. Not only does he put up those numbers against a UCF team that has been solid. I mean, offensively, they're really good. Defensively, not really. Frauds. But look, he shows his leadership capabilities. He's super calm all day, and that's part of, his age and his experience level at this point. But he leads the team on a game-winning drive while losing, and they were losing the whole game, and he does that, puts up those numbers with not even a single blemish in the box score for Brady White this game. That's why he's my star of the week. He also had a QBR of 93. So all in all, I was just watching this game. Third quarter when they were losing, I was like, man, Brady White's having a hell of a game.
That last drive was
phenomenal last drive.
As good of a last drive you could get.
Yep. My favorite part was the water girl behind the head coach falling to her knees, like praising God. And I'm watching with my dad. He's like, well, she's worshiping, which was cool. Good for her. I mean, they beat a team that's now 2-2, but praise the heavens.
Praise Brady.
Yes. Praise. No, I see what you did there. I don't like that.
All right, Lyle.
Well, to stick on topic from our last segment, I picked a guy who threw at this point in the season on our show, nobody's given him a star of the week. So I thought, you know what? It's probably time to give the guy who's leading the Heisman race a little bit of love. So Trevor Lawrence this past week, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. Clemson wins 73-7. Oh yeah, those numbers. That was in the first half. That was all in the first half. He did that. Then they yanked him for the rest of the game. I mean, what else can we say about this guy? He's unreal.
I gotta get a little bit of love for the brand too, though. Clemson was up by so much they put their punter in at quarterback for a drive. Yet DJ Uyunglele didn't play a single snap.
I said this in the pot in our chat, but like the fact that he put up 405, there's no way he was even like.
Where have I heard that one before?
Oh, did Blake freeze?
Blake froze, so we can move
freeze.
on. So
Blake did freeze, but where have I heard that before?
We've got a comment that says, dude up top looks like Pete Davidson. That would be you, Lyle.
That would be me. I've never, ever heard that one, ever.
Yeah. Coster, DJ did have a sprained shoulder. That didn't come out until after the game, though. Anyways, I'm going to move on because Blake was talking about probably something pointless. So my star of the week, Zach Wilson. Pretty similar stat line to Trevor, except his was in the whole game. 25 for 35, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. But Josh, you said Brady White had a QBR of what, 98 something?
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach Wilson had one of 205.1.
Which is absolutely bonkers.
Like unreal. Like, I don't get how it even goes that high. That's got to be one of the highest really ever. So Zach Wilson with that BYU squad, the Stormin' Mormons, the fighting independents, they're rolling there for BYU, and Zach Wilson's just balling out. Now, does anyone want to read Blake's star of the week?
Yep. So here on the Schaefer Highlight Show, I'll read Blake's star of the week. Blake decided to come in here with Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith. And he said it earlier, one of the most unreal wide receiver duos we've seen in a long time. 328 combined yards between the two, 3 total touchdowns in a game where Mac Jones threw for 400 yards total. They had over 300 of them, just the two of them. And I'll let Blake take his star of the week over from now on. I introduced it for you, buddy.
You know, I move hoping, I have finally an internet connection. I have great speed. My download speed's like 210 megabytes, compared to at home where it was like 30. And for whatever reason, the Wi-Fi just went completely out. So I'm back. It happens. Yeah, what I was saying is the fact that Trevor Lawrence did all that, going like at 75%, maybe even 50%. For my star of the week, we have a nice Alabama logo here that Brady did with this nice little light effect. That's Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith. 328 combined yards, 3 total touchdowns. Overall, I mean, they were one-upping each other the whole game. Devontae Smith, 11 catches for 167 and 2. Jalen Waddle, 6 for 161 and 1. I couldn't choose between the two, so I made them both my stars of the week. What a duo. I mean, we talked about it last year with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson being that insane wide receiver duo. They have a chance to be better this year, Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith. So absolutely fantastic. I'm back, guys. Who wants to do a Big Ten preview now? Does that sound fun?
Me, I enjoy the Big Ten. This is my favorite time of year is Big Ten football.
All right, because it means IU is back. So Brady, I guess I can remove that graphic right there. All right, everyone that's tuned in, we're finally getting to our Big Ten preview. Not gonna, unfortunately for you Rutgers fans, for you Illinois fans out there, unfortunately we're not going to be really probably talking at all about your team. But hey.
Go Terps.
Prove us wrong.
What those teams didn't get kicked out? I thought they got
not
kicked
yet.
out.
No, not by your conference realignment idea, which actually is still not the worst idea. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't already, go check out our realignment, our Big Ten realignment episode. That was a lot of fun. So, guys, Big Ten preview. first and foremost, and this is the biggest thing right here, Ohio State, they're the best team in the conference. They're likely going to go undefeated. They're likely going to be the Big Ten representative in the college football playoff. So we know exactly what Ohio State has, all this kind of stuff. We don't really have to go too in-depth on them because we talked about them a lot so far. Justin Fields, he's probably going to be one of those quarterbacks, probably going to be in the Heisman conversation. They did lose some good pieces in the draft last year, but they still retained a lot of those guys. So instead of really going in-depth talking about Ohio State guys, the question I want to pose is, can anybody compete with Ohio State in the Big Ten and potentially make a run at being that Big Ten representative in the college football playoff?
Because it's the Big Ten, I think there will be teams that will compete with Ohio State, but I do sincerely think that Ohio State is the best team in the conference. I think that they're a playoff team. Part of what I've been saying all year is I kind of want to hold up a little bit on ranking the teams that aren't playing games yet. And as we come into this, again, I think they are a top 4 team in college football, but for me, they also need to prove it. And I'm not saying that they're not going to. I'm saying week 1, if you go out and you beat Nebraska, let's say they beat Nebraska by 21 points. For me, is that it? Is that them proving that they're a top 4 team? I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I think they'll get there eventually. I think they need to prove it. I think they will prove it. But ultimately, I think that they're my Big Ten champion this season. But yeah, I do think other teams can compete with them.
I really don't see it. If I had to pick one team that I thought was going to give them a run at some point, it would have to be that Tanner Morgan and Rashad Bateman just go punch for punch offensively with Ohio State, and Minnesota has a chance. Other than that, I don't think it's going to be Michigan. I don't think it's going to be Penn State without Micah Parsons and Journey Brown. But I don't really see anybody else getting close. Unless Minnesota has a big day, I think it's Ohio State.
I think depending on what this Penn State team does, I think they would have a chance to be in the consideration as well. I think obviously all of us can pretty much agree that Ohio State is the clear-cut favorite. They're the clear-cut, arguably 4th spot in the playoffs, or one of the 4 spots in the playoffs. But we've seen a Penn State team come from years past and just shock everybody. We've seen them with some good quarterbacks and Trace McSorley. We saw obviously what a guy like what's his name? Oh yeah, Saquon Barkley can do. So we've seen some good guys come out of Penn State. They still have that prestige. They still have good talent producing coaches. James Franklin's a great coach. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in all of football. So if anybody can compete with them, I'm going to go with Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, there are some good ones, which actually is going to pose my next question, guys, as I write it, as one of our banners. But Ohio State, they're the favorite. Of course, you got Penn State. But now with Journey Brown, looks like he's going to miss the season. All of a sudden, they're starting right. Well, they have a number of good running backs, but their main starting running back, he's going to be out. But Penn State, Micah Parsons didn't opt back in, so they're going to be without him. I like what Lyle said about Minnesota. They did get Rashad Bateman back. They still have Tanner Morgan there. That's going to be a good 1-2 punch. Wisconsin, who knows what we can see out of them? Well, they're probably going to be hanging around the top 25 like they always do until they lose to a team they're not supposed to lose to, and that kind of deters their season. Nebraska, what are we going to get out of them? Probably a lot of hype and probably nothing really too much to expect. And of course, finally you got Michigan. Is this going to be a year that Jim Harbaugh can get Michigan over that hump to take down Ohio State, where it seems like every year they're good enough to do it? It's just, if in order to get to that Big Ten title game, they're going to have to beat Ohio State. And I don't think that this is going to be the year that they beat Ohio State.
I'll say this really quickly. Jim Harbaugh's kind of a weird dude, right? We could all agree on that. So if any year and any time for them to beat Ohio State, it's this year. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying for any year to do it, it's this year.
Well, that's part of the reason why I think that other teams are going to be able to compete with Ohio State, and why I want to see Ohio State prove that they're a top 3 or top 4 team in college football. And it's because they're playing an 8-game schedule. They're going to squeeze those 8 games in there right at the end of the season. And look, this has been a strange season from top to bottom. I think coming into the year, we all thought Bama was going to be good. We didn't think Bama was going to be destroying people through the first couple of games. And I don't know. I mean, we've had a lot of weird things going on in college football. I don't think we expected Oklahoma to be 2-2 and Texas to be 2-2 to the first 4 games. That's part of why I want to see Ohio State do what they got to do to prove themselves and get into the playoff. But again, that's another reason why one of these teams can come out of nowhere and win. I mean, I think that Ohio State is the best team, though.
So it is. I was just going to ask. It is did they change it this year where it's the top 2 teams that play in the championship, or is it? Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's 2, and then that final week, which I think the December 19th, 18th weekend, it's gonna be 1-1.
Yeah, what the Pac-12 is doing too.
3, 4, 4, which is really cool. I really like that and think that's something that they'll keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and like I said, I think for me it's Minnesota. So it would be Minnesota and Ohio State hypothetically in that Big Ten title game. That's really all I see. For Michigan, again, you guys are right. This is 2020. Who knows what could happen? It would only make sense that this is the year that they'd somehow finally beat Ohio State. I mean, heck, a sub 500 Astros team almost got to the World Series if you're talking a different sport. For Michigan, their offense is just so ancient, though. I don't see it for Michigan. I think they'll be good, but no.
So this brings me to my next point that I wanted to ask you guys. So we all know Ohio State, if they go undefeated, they're in. They're going to be in the college football playoff. But it's kind of an interesting question in regards to these other teams because they're playing an 8-game schedule.
8-game season.
They're playing an 8-game schedule, then plus the Big Ten championship game, that's going to be 9. So let's say you have a team like a Penn State. You have a team like a Minnesota, maybe Michigan. Maybe they go 8-1 and they win the Big Ten. Is that going to be enough for those teams to convince the voters that, yeah, we deserve it? Now, obviously, if they come out and they take down an undefeated Ohio State team in the Big Ten title game, that might be enough to say. But what if there's, as Lyle mentioned, kind of like high Pac-12 in regards to a teammate, because we got Alabama, Clemson, those 2 are guaranteed. We got likely Ohio State as the 3rd team. Probably no Big 12 teams. If Pac-12 goes, though, we think it's going to go. Probably no Pac-12 teams. Lyle mentioned it. Notre Dame, they're probably going to get blown out by Clemson, so that might keep them out. So there's a chance if, a Michigan or a Minnesota, Penn State is good enough, maybe one loss could get them in. But what do you think is going to have to happen for these other Big Ten teams to make it to that college football playoff when they're playing, 2 games less than these other conferences are?
I mean, well, number one, you got to figure out a way to upset Ohio State. I think that's where it
Key
starts.
Number 1.
the team that, I guess the team that pulls off the early upset against Ohio State is the other team in the Big Ten that can make a playoff push. If it happens later in the season, if anything, it probably just hurts Ohio State. If there's a good team that's undefeated and beats Ohio State, obviously that's them. It's going to be them. They're the team that can get in. For me, going into the season, a Micah Parsons and Journey Brown Penn State team, I thought would be the other Big Ten team to compete with Ohio State. I don't see that happening this year with those 2 big name players out with injury and opting out. So for me, I don't know who that other team is going to be. I think Wisconsin will be okay. But if we know anything about Wisconsin, they're going to be really good defensively. They're going to be boring offensively. And then they'll lose the big game because they can't compete. That's what I think is probably going to happen this year. I think Wisconsin could do it, but you got to beat Ohio State. That's number 1. If you beat Ohio State, you should be in consideration to make the playoff if you've had a respectable season. I just don't know who's going to do it.
And I think it's going to be one of the things where I brought up a few weeks ago is they're playing 8 games in 8 weeks. They have some tiebreakers built in if games get canceled due to COVID or whatever reason. But say a team goes 7-0 and then Ohio State goes 6-0, or say Ohio State goes 7-0 and Penn State goes 8-0 or whatever it may be. I don't know schedules or whatever, but
yeah.
Are you going to look at that as consideration to make the playoff? I think Penn State is the best on-field all-around team to make the playoffs, but things going on outside of it could impact that as well. So I think that's where you get the big confusion and concern is what team's going to make the playoffs in that regard.
Yeah, I'm going to have a little fun game for you guys. So I got up, all the Big Ten teams right now. So again, this is just assuming that this goes chalk. Ohio State, they dominate. They look good. They reach, the Big Ten title game, and they're likely going to reach the college football playoff. I'm going to read you some of these teams, some players from the team, and I want you guys to pretty much tell me, do you think this is a team that can not have to compete for a playoff spot, but do you think they can compete for that number 2 spot that'll get them to the Big Ten title game? Again, like Brady said, we're not Big Ten experts. We don't have the schedules memorized, so we're not exactly sure who plays who. So apologies if, Ohio State plays this team and this team plays Penn State, and they're probably going to have 2 losses. So we don't know who plays who, so we're just going off of this and whatnot. So guys, obviously the first one you got to think about is Michigan. Every year, I just talked about them. They're always so close. They can't get over the hump. They can't get past Ohio State. They're going to be a good team again this year. They're probably going to go 6-2, 7-1, but it's that one to Ohio State. Do you think? Because I mean, I would assume if they can go through their schedule 7-1 with their lone loss being against Ohio State, they might be in the Big Ten title game. Again, don't really have an eye on their schedule, but do you guys think Michigan can pull things together and be that number 2 spot in the Big Ten?
I think they can, and I don't want to spoil the rest of this segment, but I think that battle for number 2 is between the Michigans, the Penn States, the Wisconsins, and probably the Minnesotas. So that's where I see it coming down to, and I think that Michigan is probably a more complete team than some of those other ones. But again, we need to see a more efficient offense and some good quarterback play moving forward.
They can do it. I mean, if the question is, can Michigan be that number 2 team? Of course they can. They're good just about every year, and when we say good, we mean a 9 to 10 win team. I just think that there might be another team like Minnesota, because they have some offensive weapons that are probably superior to Michigan's. They creep up and take that spot from them. And look, with those 2 teams, we're going to find out on Saturday. They're squaring off. We'll get a good look at Michigan right away against another ranked team. But I am a little bit not a little bit. I'm not really sold on Michigan really being able to compete. It's just like data points time after time after time where they never get over the hump. So I don't see it.
I don't know. It's so tough to consider. And you look at everything else going on around, like I said, everything else going on around with this season. There's so much up in the air. You can't get an actual answer out of it. It's going to be more of a wait and see type thing.
Yeah. One thing I want to bring this up, because instead of also going team by team, usually when we did our previews for the conferences, we would have a graphic that would have our win-loss projections and all that kind of stuff. We didn't do it for the Big Ten just because 14 teams. We didn't want to put in the work for that this week. It was just too much going on, making the graphic, not enough time. But guys, I'm going to ask, give me your top, I guess, 4 or 5. I obviously excluding Ohio State because I think Ohio State's going to be number 1 for you guys. Give me your 1 through 5, or again, it could be 1 through 4, 1 through 6, how you think the Big Ten is going to shape out standings-wise at the end of the season.
So, yeah, I guess I'll start with Ohio State. Then these next couple, I think, are kind of a toss-up for me. I think there's going to be a couple teams with the same record, but Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan, Penn State, and Minnesota are my 5. I think those are the top 5 teams in the conference this year. And I think that Michigan State makes a push too. I really, really think that if the offense is better, what in the world is going on? There's 2 Blakes.
This is my worst nightmare.
Yeah. I really
girlfriends too.
We haven't talked about Michigan State at all, and I don't know if we really need to, but I think that they could legitimately be a top 5 team in the conference this year, or at least make a push to do so. The offense needs to get better, but I mean, I legitimately think that they might have the 2 best defensive players in the conference in Antoine Simmons and Xavier Henderson, a linebacker and safety respectively. I mean, Lyle and I we called this game last year, and we knew going in that Michigan State was going to have a great defense and they were going to be really good defensively the rest of the season. And with the way that they played early on, they probably weren't going to win too many games in the conference, and they didn't, but they still were awesome defensively. So if the offense is a little bit better for Michigan State, I think that defense is good enough to compete for a top spot in the conference. But for me right now, I'll put them at number 6, just outside that top 5.
Yeah, obviously I'll take Ohio State at 1. I'll put Minnesota at 2. I'll go Michigan at 3, Penn State at 4, Wisconsin at 5. My thing with Penn State is if they had everybody healthy and playing, I'd feel differently about them. But without Parsons, without Journey Brown, even a guy like losing Yetur Gross-Matos to the draft last year, they've just lost a lot, especially on that defensive side of the ball.
Brady, I like this comment right here. Can Penn State get the upset against Indiana without Journey Brown and Micah Parsons?
I'll tell you this. Penn State is only a 7-point favorite against Indiana. At Indiana. Penn State's ranked 8th. Indiana's elite, however.
Are they letting fans in?
No, I don't think any Big Ten team is. Yeah.
Fans at an Indiana game. That's funny.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, oh, we're going to be limiting fans like you weren't, accidentally doing that for the last
Already
30 years. Seriously. It's like they'd have more trouble getting fans in like before COVID than they do now. Like it's bad. All right, so I got 5. I have Ohio State at 1. I think Wisconsin's going to be the second best team in the conference. I think they're going to sneak in there. They're going to play really well. Penn State at 3, but it's going to be super close. Michigan at 4, and then Iowa. I think Iowa can be a really good team. They're always one of those teams that's in the mix, that's always right in there, and they're one of the best college football atmospheres. So I wonder if not having fans, I think only family allowed at Big Ten games this year. Same with Pac-12. So Ohio State, Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan, and Iowa are my 5 that I'm going to throw there.
So Lyle's high on Minnesota and Brady is not.
I'm not anti-Minnesota. I just think
because
Iowa,
last year Lyle was.
I was just about to say I've been
Yeah.
scarred by it, so now I have to respect him and put him high up in my rankings.
that's one of the things is, Iowa's always a team that's there, right? They're always just there. They're a great top middle of the pack Big Ten team, and I think they're going to be a really good squad this year in the Big Ten, especially with everything going on. And they have a lot of good returning pieces, and they probably have, like 6 tight ends who will be drafted in the first round. So who knows?
Yeah. So before we get to my rankings, we got our man Stexton92 coming in with the super chat donation. Thank you, Stexton. So along the lines of Big Ten rankings, what matchups do you want to think will happen during Big Ten Champions Week? I mean, first off, I think it'd be fantastic to see Ohio State and Michigan playing each other for the Big Ten championship. I know we're going to get that. I when they redid their schedule, I can't remember. Is it the last game of the season, or is it like one of the few last games of the season when Ohio State plays Michigan? Because that'd be kind of a drag having it like in back-to-back weeks.
Hang on.
I know Brady will get it up. I think having Ohio State, Michigan, whoever wins potentially likely goes to the college football playoff. I think that would be the best case scenario for the Big Ten championship.
It's the last game of the year, December 12th at Ohio State.
So then I assume then they'd play the week after the 19th. So then it'd be back-to-back weeks, which that'd be fantastic also if Ohio State loses and all of a sudden they want the revenge. Yeah, your revenge is just 1 week later for the Big Ten championship. I think that'd be a cool championship matchup to see.
And
I
the
want
way
to
that
see
they're doing this is like the last week of the season when you get that championship matchup, they're playing everybody else is like the seeds are matching up at that point, right? Okay. Go ahead, Law.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to say, I've said it already. I'd like to see Minnesota, Ohio State, just because I don't see any of these Big Ten defenses stopping Ohio State. Like, I don't think there's a defense in this conference that can stop Justin Fields and Trey Sermon and Garrett Wilson and all those guys. I think the only chance is if you have another offense that can really go punch for punch, which is why I want to see Minnesota, because they have 2 guys like Tanner Morgan and Rashad Bateman who maybe could put up a fight.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Penn State be good this year. I just don't. I'm again like I mentioned earlier. I'd put them at number 2 in the conference if they weren't missing all these guys. I think Minnesota, Ohio State would be a good conference title matchup. I think Michigan, Ohio State would be interesting to say the least. But here's my thing. You said Champions Week. So I'm going to go outside the title game, and I'm going to say for that 9th game of the season, give me Maryland, Nebraska, baby. I'm looking forward to it.
What if like you get one of the games like Paul Bunyan's axe or whatever the matchups are?
The Michigan State ones in the last week.
So what if they play again on championship week? Do they have to like redo the trophy if the other team wins?
Or
I would say no.
I'd say no as well.
Or we can get a true battle for the worst of the worst between like Rutgers and Illinois, the actual battle to determine who is the worst team.
I will watch it. I will watch it.
Northwestern.
I will watch it.
Northwestern versus Rutgers.
The Northwestern's been decent. Like,
Well, not last year.
They were 3-9 last year.
Yeah.
well, besides last year, not last year.
I'm just imagining them doing this kind of
Big
like
Ten champion.
NCAA tournament style, where it's all the same day. All these games are at Lucas Oil, and the first game is at like 7 a.m. and it's the worst matchup. And you just have one game at 7 a.m., one game at 10 a.m., one
Here's
game
what
at
you do.
1, and you just keep going up.
So for the state championships for high school here in Indiana, that they're all at Lucas Oil. We have 6 classes, so that's 12 teams. Big Ten would have 14 teams, so you'd have one more game. They do classes like 1, 3, and 5 on Friday of Thanksgiving weekend, and then 2, 4, 6 on Saturday, and it switches every year. So you could have 2 full days of football. So like have your 7th place, your whatever, work your way up and have games 2 days in a row all day long. That'd be awesome. I love that idea.
So those are our hopes. In regards to my rankings, Ohio State at 1. I'm with Lyle. I'm high on Minnesota. I got them coming in at number 2. I think that's who it's ultimately going to be. Again, this all has to determine. I'm sure if we were to go and each like analyze the schedule and go week by week, who knows what like our rankings would actually look like. But I'm going to go with Minnesota number 2. At number 3, I like Penn State. Number 4, I'm going to go with Michigan. Michigan, literally, they can either go like 7-1, they can go 5-3, they can go 4-4. I don't know what we're going to get out of them. Number 5, I'm going to go with Wisconsin. It's tough though because Iowa, they're always there. I wouldn't be shocked if Iowa comes in at the top 3. They're always there. But it will be interesting to see how Purdue looks. They are getting Rondale Moore back. He opted back in. It's going to be interesting to see how Nebraska looks, how Michigan State looks, how Maryland looks, because I don't think they've officially announced it yet. But Tua's younger brother, what is it?
Second string quarterback.
So he's officially second
They
string.
announced it. Yeah, I actually had this pulled up a minute ago.
Darn it. So it'll be interesting to see a lot of good teams there in the Big Ten, but it's going to be exciting, guys. It's going to be a fun time. They're back this week. The Mountain West is back this week. Pac-12's back in 2 weeks, I think.
I
2
take
weeks
that
from
back.
Saturday.
November 7th.
They haven't named a starter yet. It's either Talia or Lance Legendre.
Oh,
L-E
Legendre.
capital G-E-N-D-R-E. I'm going to call him Legendre. I like that.
I like it. So a lot of fun stuff. I'm sure next week for our show, we're going to be going in more in depth on a lot of the Big 12 or Big 10 stuff. So looking forward to that, guys. Before we move on to a few other segments, before we get to our Q&A and our pick'ems, I just want to ask you guys, Josh, Lyle, would you guys like to have $50?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you guys can't because you're a part of the show, but we're going to be giving away $50 on our Twitter at the HH_show. Or if they want, you guys can get in on this and you guys can up the stakes because Brady himself is going to be donating $25. Me, myself, I'm going to be donating $25. Again, this is optional for you guys if you want to get in on this. So I know you guys are probably thinking, how in the world can I win $50? Well, you got to follow us on Twitter at the HH_show. That's first and foremost. Brady had this great idea this past week where essentially he picked it last week. I'll be picking it this week. I'm going to pick one game this weekend. It could be any game. Probably going to be one of the better games. Not going to be some random college football game. It'll be one of the better games. And I'm going to be asking you guys to give us, sure was. I'm going to be asking you guys to give our score prediction. So I think Brady did it last week for Alabama and Georgia. He asked you guys to give a score prediction. Unfortunately, no one had the correct score. No one won the money. So again, I'm going to be picking some random game. I'm not going to tell you guys until the day of the game. So on Saturday, follow us on Twitter at the HH_show_. I'm going to post the game. You guys get one reply. You guys only get one chance. Reply with your score prediction for that game. If you're correct, I'll be sending you $25. Brady will be sending you $25. And we'll be seeing if Josh and Lyle want to get in on the fun, and you could potentially win $75 to $100.
You have to be a follower on Twitter, though. You have to follow the show.
Yeah. I think we should pick the game today.
No, because then you have to go follow on Twitter. It has to
all right. I like that.
I know the key, though, in the fine print is if your score prediction is wrong, you do owe Brady and I $25. So everybody. So you have to guess make this the guess of your life because we don't
high risk, low reward.
See, it benefits us greatly because the odds are in our favor. But no, we're kidding. So again, if you guys want to,
we would love to pay you $50.
Yeah,
we would love to.
So again, if you want a chance to win $50, maybe more, depending if these guys want to get in on the fun, you guys can go over to our Twitter at the HH Show _. Turn on those notifications so that way when we tweet it, it might be one of those things where hey, kickoff's in 5 minutes. You guys have 5 minutes to get in the score prediction because whoever has the notifications on are a bonus. No, just make sure to go to follow us on Twitter. And on Saturday, I'll be posting what game, and you can get in those score predictions.
I will say this: if we get multiple people with a correct score choice, Blake, what do you think? Do we split it amongst those people, or do we do a randomizer and pick just one of them?
I think unfortunately we'll have to split it because if you somehow get a correct score in a football game, nonetheless, you deserve to have some sort of money and not have it. So there you go. So again, if you guys want to win money, it's $50 for now. Maybe we'll see if those guys get in on the fun and up the stakes. That is at the HH Show _.
I think we should tweet something about it right now to get people prepared, and then we'll announce the game.
Well, Brady, you can go do that because while you do that, I'm going to be going about Blake's bets. Guys, as we've seen every week, anything can happen on any given week. A few weeks ago, I went 5-0. I think last week I went 1-4. This week, 2 of my games were canceled, and unfortunately, I went 0-3, my first 0-for of the year. Not a true 0-for, as I was telling Brady, because it's only 0-for-3, not 0-for-5. The worst part was West Virginia, Kansas. I had West Virginia -22. I think they beat Kansas by 21, so just missed that one. Cincinnati, Tulsa, that game was canceled. LSU, Florida, that game was canceled. And Georgia Tech, I had faith in you guys against Clemson. I had you +27. Well, they lost by 66 points, so missed it just much, but it's okay. We're still 12-10 on the year. Anytime you're up above 500, that's a good thing in the betting world. So we're still having a winning season. Here are my 5 bets this week, guys. Alabama -21.5 over Tennessee. Oklahoma State -3.5 over Iowa State. Penn State -6.5 against Indiana. Sorry, Brady. Indiana's not pulling off the upset. I like Minnesota +3 against Michigan. And I like the over in the Cincinnati SMU game of 65.5 points. So those are Blake's bets of the week. Those are my 5. Guys, I think it's time we get to our Q&A.
Yes.
Have about 10 minutes or so for the Q&A because our Pickums is a little bigger this week. We have, I think, 20 games. So those are really going to have to just go through.
What is that?
There you go. So we got the Q&A, guys. We have a few questions from Twitter. So if you guys have any questions for us, let us know in the live chat right now, and we'll pick our questions. Again, if you guys want to donate to the super chat, if you have a question for us you'd like to have answered, $1, $2. I don't know if you donate cents. I don't know if you can donate like 50 cents or a quarter, but hey, whatever you guys can donate, we are more than grateful. Guys, going over to our Twitter questions right now. What do we got here? This is kind of a phone from Sports by JR. Are there any potential sleeper Heisman candidates in the Big Ten? So this is a Big Ten preview show. Are there any potential Heisman sleeper candidates in the Big Ten? So I guess guys that aren't going to, be top 5, top 6, top 7 in preseason favorites for the Big Ten.
I think you can maybe toss Trey Sermon in there. In terms of, I just don't see anybody on paper being thrown right into the Heisman mix. Again, I think Antoine Simmons is really good from Michigan State, but what's a realistic chance a linebacker wins the Heisman Trophy this year? I don't think very high. So I'm going to throw an offensive player in. I'll stick with the Spartans, and I'm going to go Elijah Collins, a running back. I think he's really good. He will absolutely not win the Heisman Trophy, but he's solid, and I think he'll do some damage in the Big Ten. Dude, am I selling myself on Michigan State right now?
You are.
Michigan State, number 4 in the conference. Right now, calling it.
Wow.
All right, moving on, apparently.
I mean, it's possible.
It's like a library in here right now.
I mean, they've got a new quarterback. It's gonna be Rocky Lombardi, right?
I think so.
I just think they lost a lot too. Is the only thing with Willikis and Bocce, and that's all. They could do it. I mean, look, Michigan State up until the last couple of years, Michigan State was right up at the top every single year. So you'd have to think at some point they're gonna they're going to revive themselves and start being competitive again. So it's possible. If I had to pick somebody, oh, thanks, Mason. He says Lyle is the best for those listening.
Not just the best, by far the best. That is our intern Mason McLean, ladies and gentlemen.
If I had to pick somebody as a sleeper, I would take Tanner Morgan. I'll stick on the theme just because he's a quarterback. He's got a chance to throw for a lot of yards. He's got an elite receiver. So I'll take Morgan.
It's a good one. I was going to take Tanner Morgan with mine, but this is the problem with going last when you host the show. They take your great ideas, and they don't look so great when you say them. And that's why Lyle is by far the best.
Oh.
Brady, did you give an answer?
I didn't even hear the question.
That's okay.
I was tweeting out.
We'll throw it to you with a random person. Brady, we'll let you go first with this one. Who's going to be playing in the Mountain West Championship?
Air Force Wyoming.
Ooh.
Well,
no,
Boise.
Air Force Boise State.
Boise and who's going to be good? Dude, it's a different team every year. No, see, so that's the thing. Is San Diego State going to be good this year, or are they going to be terrible? Is Hawaii going to have another 10-win season, or are they going to win one game? Mountain West football is the hardest to predict ever, unless it's Boise State. I'm going to go Boise. And with all that being said, I'm going to go back to Hawaii.
Utah State.
Yeah, that's probably a good pick too.
San Jose State.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
I don't know, dude.
Boise State?
Jordan Love and Utah State.
Boise and Fresno. Give me Fresno.
All right, that's a good one. I'll jump on your back with that one. I'll take Fresno State, Boise State.
I'm going Boise State, Colorado State.
I'm going to go with Hawaii and UNLV.
I'm going to tell you right now that's probably going to be wrong.
Yeah, UNLV's rocking in the new Allegiant Stadium.
That's true.
Better than Sam Boyd Stadium, which was garbage.
Hey, I have a quick question. You guys remember like 2 years ago when Liberty beat was it Liberty that beat?
No, it was
Old Dominion.
No.
They beat Virginia Tech.
It was the school. It was the school that Cam Newton's brother was at, or the Howard. Yeah, it was Howard.
Oh,
yeah, it was the greatest spread.
Because Liberty beat somebody a couple years ago, and everyone went crazy about it. Yeah, they beat Baylor, and they beat Syracuse, and everyone was just like, yeah.
All right, guys, this one we didn't really talk on, but thoughts on LSU banning or all? I think it was Odell. So Odell Beckham got banned 2 years from LSU for straight up giving players cash after they won the Natty, which is not allowed in the NCAA, and it's
no
10 months to ban him. So here's a guy that's straight up giving players cash on the field.
In the locker room.
No, it was also on the field. Like there's stuff on the field, and I think they announced 8 scholarships will be revoked, and there's something that came out about a booster giving someone $160K. So LSU, can't wait to see them get the non-death sentence with this.
So let me just hang on one second. Let me give my opinions on this. Okay, so I would like to know.
Why do you have the tag on that?
I have never worn this. I was gonna sell it.
Well, sell us on your thought.
I like this.
Why?
I agree.
Thank you. Where was the investigation from the NCAA? Where were all of like the massive scholarship reductions? Where's the bowl ban? Where are the sanctions? Where are all of these things that USC was hammered with for what? A dude's parents talking to an agent, buying a house, and Reggie Bush had nothing to do with it. Oregon's up here doing all these weird recruiting things. Ohio State was selling championship rings and stuff for free to get tattoos in exchange. Got a 1-year bowl ban. Also went 12-0 that year. That's kind of badass if we're being honest. They're like, oh yeah, sanctions. Nope, here's a 12-win season. But look, like what was the NCAA doing? Like, didn't LSU do all of this themselves?
Like LSU self-imposed all these things.
And you want to know why? Because they were scared.
Mm-hmm.
They knew the NCAA was going to do something, so they just preemptive measure.
Or see if it's like is the NCAA going to come after us if we don't do anything? You would think yes, but the NCAA has proven that the answer is in fact no after the USC thing. So, they probably would not have done anything.
I mean, Odell did this to himself, but essentially LSU came out today and they just shit all over Odell Beckham Jr. Brady, you said you had some news that you wanted to share with us.
I quit this show. This is the worst. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this, but did you guys see the Mackenzie Milton news?
Oh, is he back?
He's cleared to return to practice.
First, Alex Smith.
Yep. Josh.
I was getting hype, man. Come on.
So
first Alex Smith and then Mackenzie Milton.
Yeah.
Y'all love to see it.
Just saw that pop across my timeline. Real quick.
Well, that's cool. My guess is, he cleared a practice, so he probably
he's running scout team quarterback right now.
So I don't think he'll play this year. It'll be interesting to see because Dylan Gabriel's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel should do the honorable thing and transfer out and let Mackenzie Milton take over because who knows? So hopefully Mackenzie Milton, whether it's UCF or someone else, he's able to play. Guys, War Dog wants to know odds that Oklahoma or Texas finish unranked. Give me a percentage. Give me a percentage that one of these two teams finishes the season unranked. Just a percentage.
40% that one of them is unranked.
38. That was actually my number that I thought of going into this question.
That one finishes unranked?
At least one of them is unranked.
60.
Wow.
I'm going to go with 5%. I think both of these teams will figure things out and they're going to get ranked. I'm bummed I didn't go down the comments because I found the one where they spelled it right, so it could have had this on the screen the whole time.
I'll say this real quick about that is they're not ranked and half the teams aren't playing. Half the teams start playing, they're going to keep getting bumped down.
Yeah, that's true.
Or they'll keep getting bumped up. Guys, Eddie, he wants to know Maryland's best possible record this year.
Well, the best possible record they can have is 9-0.
9-0. Yes, they could technically go 9-0.
Actually, they could go 11-0.
They could go 11-0.
There you go.
I think that they will realistically. I think Maryland goes 2-6 this year. I think they could legitimately I'll go 3-7. None of those add up. 3-6 because of 9 games.
Has to be 9.
Yeah, I'll go. I think they go 3-6. I think they go 4-5 at best. Go Terps.
I'm going to go 4-5 as well.
Where are the Turtles? I cannot wait to post that. It's going to be so great.
Where are the Turtles?
It's going to be so great.
DJ wants to know who's taking the MAC this year.
Akron. Ohio.
I'll take Ohio.
Roll Lyle.
Roll Bobbies. You're rolling with the Bobbies?
Dude, that's like 3 in a row where Lyle's like, yeah.
I always forget.
I'll take it.
I'm trying to Western Michigan, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Hold on.
What are some odds? Let's see the odds to win this. Ball State? No.
Yeah, no.
There are only 8 teams in the MAC.
I'm going Ohio. I'm going
to go Toledo.
No, you're not. Don't go Toledo.
Is Mac's brother still at Buffalo?
Go Toledo.
Is whose brother?
Khalil Mack's brother still at Buffalo?
Who knows? Hey, take Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo for our
going to go Buffalo, yeah.
Sorry, Brady, I took Buffalo before you did.
Dude, I asked the question about
Unfortunately. All right, guys, we got time for a few more. Our man Red wants to know thoughts on Coastal Carolina picking up their first ever top 25 win. They're in the top 25 for the first time in program history. I picked them to win against Louisiana because I said they called out Pat McAfee for not respecting them. You guys put no respect on Coastal Carolina's name, the Chanticleers, and now they are ranked the best field in all of college football, the best name in all of college football.
How do you say their team name?
The Chanticleers.
Chanticleers.
But you have to say it while raising your pinky and drinking out of a expensive wine glass.
Like this. The Chanticleers. Also, I'm changing I'm going to go Miami of Ohio for the MAC.
Wow.
I'm going with Miami of Ohio.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. In terms of Coastal,
the Chants,
the Chants, the Chanties, good for them. They beat who they beat? Louisiana.
Yeah.
Good for them. Louisiana looked like they were going to be a decent team this year. Kind of falling off a little bit, but good for them. And I like that teal field.
All right, guys. Looks like we got time for one final question, and this comes from our man Brett. A very generous super chat donation. Thoughts on Wisconsin's Graham Mertz hype? So I assume that he was named. I need to see who they were naming the starter. I assume he was named. Was he named the starter, or unless Lyle has something else?
Yeah, because so Jack Cohn broke his foot.
Jack Cohn's still there. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think he's that old, is he? Because Hornybrook was there forever, and that's only been what 2 years since Hornybrook's been gone. 3 years.
Dude, just give me Joel Stave back. I love Joel Stave.
From everything
last year was the first year Jack Cohn started at quarterback for Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't.
Just all their quarterbacks are the same.
They are. It's kind of like the Braves roster. Everybody's the same.
They all look the same.
Right.
True. But I mean, everything I've read on Graham Mertz from a couple articles, and then I don't know, I see Big Cat tweet about him a lot. That people think he's going to be really good. Apparently, like he's dropping dimes in practice. I've read, so we'll see. I mean, does Wisconsin finally have a really exciting quarterback? We're going to find out.
Well, that's probably why there's so much hype on him, because they're going from Alex Hornibrook to Jack Cohn to this, where they actually have hope. There's actually a light at the end of the tunnel for Wisconsin compared to the quarterbacks they've had in recent years. I mean, this guy, I think he was a 4-star quarterback.
It's a sick name too.
Yeah, it's a sick name. I think it was a 4-star quarterback, so he's got a lot of hype surrounding him.
One of the top names in college football. We found the best name in college football. I'm still working on a pronunciation for that, so I'm not going to say anything until we find the actual pronunciation for it.
I still like Graham Mertz a lot better, and Graham's kind of a cool name because the last couple guys were Joel, Alex, and Jack. So
Wisconsin, very Wisconsin.
The best name in college football is Gunnar Romney.
Ooh,
Gunnar Romney, yeah.
Or Tank. Auburn's running back.
Tank Grigsby.
Tank. So
where's the linebacker for Navy? Look it up.
No, we believe in Graham. Again, when you're going from Alex Hornibrook to Jack Cohn to this guy, I think it's going to be better. But yeah, I mean, just what I just Googled, a lot of things coming about how a lot of people believe he's the real deal. A lot of people believe he's the real hype. Brady, there are two. Well, not this one. Short round. Alex, I want to hurl. I don't know why. Sorry, I think you just clicked it, Brady.
I did too. Yeah.
There's a few questions. I don't know which one you were talking about. I assume from short round.
This one, Josh?
Yes.
No, I'll just say, wow, no chance.
Not
You've seen those
chance.
videos.
You got to read the question because we're also on podcasts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. For those of you that are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, short round wants to know: could any of you beat up a kangaroo? And my answer is no. I cannot.
I would say no, but kangaroos cannot walk or hop backwards. So if you want to get the kangaroo, you got to go up from behind. You got to jump on him from behind and hit him from behind because, trust me, next time you get attacked by a kangaroo, you're just going to have to be like, get behind him.
Next time. Yeah.
Yeah, next time you guys see a kangaroo, get behind
I don't know how Josh.
Well, next time we're in Australia scouting punters, I'll be sure to fight a kangaroo. But the answer short round is I'm going to say 100% no. I heard somebody in an interview that they asked the same question actually, and they're like, I could easily beat up a kangaroo, and everyone laughed and said, you're out of your mind. And he gave a whole long explanation, and then they Googled a video of a kangaroo punching a human, and the dude was out. One punch.
Looking at pictures of kangaroos and up in high school, because that was our mascot, no way. Funny enough, we are one of two high schools, or my high school was one of two high schools, I think, in the entire country that their mascot was a kangaroo. And no, I could not beat one up.
Kangaroos are the Sean Oakmans of the animal kingdom.
Did you
Tell me I'm wrong. Look at Sean Oakman and look at a kangaroo.
The massive dude from Baylor?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just laughing at Lyle's. It seemed like Lyle was about to burst into laughing for about a second, and then he just held back and was just gone. He was like, no. Speaking of which, though, Lyle, my high school, the Apaches, was also the only high school in the country with that name. We had permission from the Apache tribe, and cool. They're trying to tear it down and not be the Apaches anymore, even though we have permission because 2020. All right, guys, let's get to our pick'ems. Unfortunately, no music this week because The music just doesn't sound good with the microphones. But it's time for the pick'ems. Oh my goodness, Brady, who photoshopped this guy on my body?
Dude, his abs look like not human.
Dude, he's just massive.
Like, look at this, the way this dude's built.
All right, guys, it's time.
He's got green hair too.
He's insane.
Green hair.
Gosh, time to get to our pick'ems, guys. We have a leaderboard. Things are getting interesting, boys. Things are getting interesting. Lyle's lead is diminishing before our very eyes. Lyle, you only lead by 2 points now. I'm in sole possession of second place with 37. Brady has 36. Josh has 34. As I mentioned, we have about 20 games to get to this week, guys. So aside from like the big time games, his abs are the size of loaves of bread. No need to go too in depth on this kind of stuff. So guys, let's bust these bad boys out and do these pick'ems. Louisiana at UAB.
Well, Popeyes is in Louisiana, and we love that chicken from Popeyes. I've only been once, but I'm taking Louisiana.
You've only been once to Popeyes? It's not bad.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
It's a better sandwich than Chick-fil-A, I'll tell you that.
That is just wrong.
I've heard that. I would love
I've
to
had
try.
both. That is wrong.
Facts.
I would love
I
to
still
try
haven't had it. I haven't
I
had
had-
the Popeye sandwich.
I had one and it was
Chick-fil-A.
fine.
Oh boy.
I'll take
All right.
Louisiana.
I'm going to go with UAB.
I'll take Louisiana in this one. They're not ranked anymore, but I'll go with them. Guys, we did this with Notre Dame a few weeks ago, and Notre Dame made us look all stupid against their game against Florida State. But we're going to do it again. We got Nebraska at number 5, Ohio State. But Nebraska, they are plus 26. So, guys, we know Ohio State's going to win this game. But do they win the game by the 26-point spread?
So, no, they do not. I think Nebraska covers. And the reason why is I think that Ohio State is up big early and then puts in their backups toward the end of the game, and Nebraska keeps it within 26 points. I also do not expect Ohio State to be clicking on all cylinders week one. I'm not saying they're not going to win. A 21-point win over Nebraska is going to look great. It's going to be fine. I just think Nebraska covers. I don't think they get absolutely embarrassed by Ohio State. They'll still lose by 20 points, but not 26.
I'm going to take Ohio State. I'm going to say they come out firing. And as Gus Johnson said in his first game last year, Justin Fields, hello, Columbus. And in his first game in Columbus this year, they're going to win by more than 26 points.
Hey, speaking of Justin Fields, big shout out to you, Lyle, for editing that video. It looked great. Definitely something the great Carl Lemon taught you for sure.
Probably.
Sure.
Probably. You know, I had Ohio State covering, but Josh, you brought up a really good point, and I really liked what you said there. So you actually persuaded me. So I'm going to think,
Right.
I think Nebraska will cover at the 26.
I've been persuasive all day.
You know, I really like what you said. I'm going to go with Ohio State winning by 21 points, which is a respectable win.
Ohio State, they're going to win this game by 40. Here's one, guys. That's a foe in Syracuse. They're 46-point underdogs at number 1 Clemson. Good luck.
Not a chance Syracuse covers this game. I was texting a buddy of mine, and we were talking about this game, and I said Blake's favorite line: good teams win, great teams cover. And he responded with, "We're neither." So I've got Clemson by 46 points or more. More than 46 points.
I mean, Clemson just won by 66 last week, and Syracuse lost to Liberty. Give me Clemson.
Dude, I'm going to have Clemson, but here's this. Clemson will cover this in the first half.
Yeah.
I have Clemson covering this in the first half.
They will. Clemson, yeah, wow, I might have to add this to Blake's bets. If you have any access to bet on any sort of games, please go take this because they're going to just dismantle the poor Oranges. All right, guys, we got some good action now. We got number 23 NC State and number 14 North Carolina.
Give me the Tar Heels in a bounce back win. I think they come out fired up. I think they win by 14.
Yeah, I'm taking UNC. They're not losing back-to-back.
Same here. I'm going North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina, you're not going to lose back-to-back games. At least we would hope not. Georgia Southern at number 25, Coastal Carolina.
Not this week. Not this week. I've got Coastal.
Give me the Chanticleers.
The Chanties.
I tweeted from our account last week, rank the Chants, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going Coastal Carolina and the Surf Turf.
Coastal Carolina is going to ride this momentum, maybe go up to number 24 in the rankings. We'll have to wait and see. Ooh,
Hang on, where's that short round comment? Blake's going to hurl. Hang on, where's that at?
Auburn at Ole Miss. Look away. What is it that Ron Burgundy says in Anchorman 2 at the beginning? Hide the children. Hide, they're coming through the back door.
Hide the children. They're coming through the back door.
Yeah, hide the kids for this game. My God.
Look, so Ole Miss's defense is going to be the deciding factor in this game. The offense is really good, right? Yes, the offense is great. But they are gaining 540 yards per game while surrendering 579. They're scoring 37 points per game and surrendering 47. I don't care who the other team's quarterback is. They suddenly have a chance to win this game going up against the Ole Miss defense. So, yes, I think Bo Nix and Auburn win this game. I think it's because of the Auburn defense. I think Auburn will score some points this week. I think Auburn scores some points this week. I think Ole Miss scores some points this week. But I really just think that Ole Miss defense is the deciding factor because it is man, Brady, what's the best way to put it? It's not too good.
Not too good.
It's not too bad.
Prevented 41 yards against Alabama. Wow. Look, Matt Corral just hung me out to dry this past week because on our last show we did underrated quarterbacks and I said Matt Corral. Then he went out and did what he did this past Saturday. So I'm going to roll with Bo Nix and take Auburn.
The only time in this show's history I will confidently say Bo Nix will have a decent game. Decent. However.
Oh, yeah, just finish this, Brady.
Hello? I'm gonna go with, hello? I just froze.
I was pretending I was frozen. I thought that was like a gag we were doing.
No, I actually was pretending I was frozen too. Blake's doing it again. I'm gonna go with Auburn on the road. I think Bo Nix gets his stuff figured out.
If Bo Nix doesn't complete 60% of his passes and throw for 300 more yards, my God.
Get ready because next week's going to be a roast session.
Oh, God. Bo Nix, I am taking you. Take this once-in-a-lifetime chance and go with my pick, but oh, boy. All right, guys. Got about 15 we got to go through here. So we got Oklahoma at TCU.
I'm going to go with the Sooners, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I think they get the win this week.
Yeah, I'll take Oklahoma.
Blake, you typed Oklahoma, so I'm going to go with Oklahoma in the document.
Yeah,
I'm going.
I noticed it and I changed it.
I'm going Oklahoma.
I'll go with Oklahoma as well. Florida State at Louisville. The battle. This should be the worst of the worst for the ACC.
There's even after last week, they were up 24-0, and they should have lost. I just have no confidence in picking Florida State, and I equally have none in Louisville. But I don't know. Going into the season, I thought Louisville would be good, so I'm gonna take Louisville. I just can't pick Florida State. I'm sorry, Mike Norvell. I'm sorry, I can't.
I'll give Jordan Travis some credit though. Since he's taken over as quarterback, it's gotten better than when James Blackman was in there. Which, funny enough, if anybody's a baseball fan, his brother's Devin Travis, who had a couple really good years in Toronto. Jordan Travis has been pretty good, but yeah, I'm with Josh. I can't pick Florida State with any confidence. I'll take Louisville.
All right, Lyle, I've done this to you before. What's the capital of Florida, Louisville or Louisville?
No, not the capital.
You said the capital of Florida.
You caught me. All right, I was trying to trick you. It's Tallahassee. I'm going Louisville. Blake, I asked Lyle, not you.
Way to go, Blake.
Sorry, guys.
He caught it, so that was good. I was trying to trick you.
Guys, I'm taking Bo. I just took Bo Nix. This is a weird pick. I'm going to take Florida State.
Yeah.
We're full of once in lifetimes here today. Baylor at Texas.
Texas, similar to the Oklahoma and TCU game. You know what? I'm picking the 2-2 team here, and that I don't want to pick, but I'm going to pick Texas. I think they win.
Yeah, I'm going to take Texas.
You want to do a little Matthew McConaughey right here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Texas.
Yeah, I'm going to go Texas as well. Iowa at Purdue.
give me Iowa in this game. This isn't a huge opportunity for the Hawkeyes to just let me down in the first week of Big Ten play. But look, Iowa was good last year. I know they lost some pieces, but I'm gonna take them again to start the season. So I've got Iowa getting to 1-0.
Yeah, this is a game they should win. I'll take Iowa.
This is my favorite time of year where I can confidently and gladly pick against Purdue. I'm going Iowa.
I think Rondo Moore has a big game. I think he comes out and has one of those 200-plus yard Rondo Moore games. So I'm going to go with Purdue in the upset. I think it's the upset. I don't know what the line is in this game, so who knows? I'll go with them in the upset. South Carolina at LSU.
LSU bounce back win. I think Coach O whips them into shape. They've got a lot of off-field stuff going on right now, obviously. But South Carolina, I'm a little bit surprised they beat Auburn last week. But then again, Auburn's quarterback is Bo Nix, so But I think Miles Brennan and LSU get the win this week. Big bounce back win at home.
Tigers offense goes off. I'll take LSU.
Blake, I was favored by 3, and it's at Purdue. On the day where Odell Beckham Jr. said, I ain't scared of COVID and COVID ain't scared of me, I think LSU is going to put up some big numbers this week. They're going to get a big win. I'm going to go LSU.
I went with my Cox last week against Bo Nix and Auburn. I was the only one to do it, and I got the point from it, but I'm not going to do it again.
Your Cox didn't let you down. Good for you.
I'm going to go with LSU in this one. West Virginia at Texas Tech.
Guys, hear me out for a second here. West Virginia has the number 1 defense in the nation in regards to yards allowed per game, and they rank 11th in the nation in points allowed per game. Now I'm going to pump the brakes on the whole Big 10 or Big 12 does actually play defense. I'm not going to go there yet. They do actually have a couple of defenses that are ranked fairly high, but this is still kind of impressive for West Virginia. I really did not expect to see this coming into this game. I'm taking the Mountaineers. I think they get the win because the defense comes through for them in the clutch.
I was going to say, for as weird as the Big 12's been this year, this makes it even weirder that West Virginia's been this good on the defensive side of the ball. And Texas Tech, I mean, I don't know. They're so up in the air every week. One week they're great offensively. The next week they're not. I'm going to take West Virginia.
I'm going to go West Virginia, a team that should be ranked. They're sitting here at 4-1. Like Josh said, one of the top 10 defenses in all the country. I'm going to go West Virginia.
I was going to go with the Mountaineers for my main man, Ron Wolfley, 4-time Pro Bowler Ron Wolfley.
Are you talking to me?
Oh, yeah, Bobby. But Josh told me on that defensive stats. So Mountaineers, they're going to hold Texas Tech to less than 17 points.
All right.
Georgia Tech, who was impressive a few weeks ago, then lost by 65 at Boston College.
It's tough to pick Georgia Tech after last week in the ACC. So I'm going with the not the Carolina Hurricanes, but Boston College. Bunch of jerks. Get it?
I got it.
Yeah.
That was a good one. They had a bad loss, too, this past week. Not as bad as Georgia Tech. But, yeah, Boston College has been better than I think most people thought. And I think they're going to bounce back with a win over a team they should beat in Georgia Tech. So give me Boston College.
Georgia Tech just got, to put it politely, pounded, buried, and run over by Clemson. I could have had so many more words.
Yeah.
But I don't think YouTube would like me saying.
Those are words out of my dictionary, Brady.
Yeah.
And not for describing football.
No.
All right. I'm going to go Georgia Tech.
You didn't let me. You didn't let me.
I hate it here.
However, when you get buried that deep, you got to crawl your way back out. They're only halfway out of the hole this week. I'm going Boston College.
As Terry Crews said in White Chicks, you're going to need a wheelchair. And that's what Boston College is going to need after this game. I'm going to go Georgia Tech. They're going to come back and win. Wyoming at Nevada. Guys, we have some Mountain West action. We have Mountain West action. I think it's the only Mountain West game we have in this docket because Boise State, I forget who they're playing, but they're like 28-point favorites, so can't really have that. We got this. We got this
State
game.
plays Utah State, and they're 16.5-point favorites.
Oh.
So Nevada was actually decent at the end of last year. They won like 3 straight games. I don't know. This game's in Reno. I'm gonna go. This one's tough to pick. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna take the Fighting Kaepernicks. I've got Nevada.
Yeah, I'm taking Nevada too.
I'm gonna roll with Wyoming here. I think they're gonna get a good road win to start the year.
I'm going to take the Fighting Josh Allens. Yeah, so he's taking the Fighting Kaepernicks. I'll go with the Fighting Josh Allens. Number 2, Alabama at Tennessee.
Oh, man, this is real hard. I've got Bama. Last week, they showed that they're really good. And Tennessee, they showed that they could be pretty good in the first half against Georgia a couple weeks ago. And then since then, I'm not sold on Garantano and company. I think they're a fine team. They are not good enough to beat Alabama, and they are not good enough to keep it within 14 points.
Yeah, I'm taking Bama.
All I heard was him Bama, and then he glitched out. Huh? Last week I said on the show that Garantano's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country. Didn't have a great game at all, so I spoke a little too soon there. But I'm going to go Alabama pretty easily on the road. Lot of road teams this week.
This is Blake's bets. They're favored by 21.5. Bama's going to win by at least 35. Bama big. Number 3, Notre Dame at Pittsburgh.
I just want to see Ian Book have a game where he kind of like sells me on the rest of the season. And I advocated for him whenever we were in, I guess it was last year, maybe. Yeah, it would have been last year where I kind of advocated him through the first couple games of the season. He led the team down the field and beat Virginia Tech with that rushing touchdown in the last play of the game while Lyle was there. And Lyle came back from South Bend, and I said, you know what? He's not too good. So, and since then, I haven't been a huge Ian Book fan, but I think he steps up this game. I think Notre Dame has a nice bounce back performance, and they get the win over Pitt.
They'll win. Pitt always gives them problems, and Pitt plays them tough just about every year. I'm going to take Notre Dame, but in a close one.
Yeah, I like what Lyle said there, but I'm going to go with Notre Dame. They need to bounce back from only a 12-point showing. How do you score 12 points and win a football game? They're going to need to do much more than that this week in a pretty good environment in Pittsburgh. So I'm going to go Notre Dame on the road, but close game.
I really want to take Pittsburgh in the upset, but I have this weird feeling that Notre Dame is going to win this game by like 25, 26 points. Mm-hmm. It's a weird feeling. I don't like it, but I'm going to go with the Irish. Number 17, Iowa State at number 6, Oklahoma State.
I was really high on the Pokes earlier this year. I thought they were going to be the number 2 team in the Big 10 or the Big 12. I've done that a couple times today. The Big 12. Right now, they're number 1 in the Big 12. But look, they've still underperformed. They don't have Spencer Sanders, Tylan Wallace, and Chuba Hubbard haven't really, been used to the best of their ability yet. Give me Brock Purdy and the Cyclones in this game to pull off the quote unquote upset. I like Iowa State.
I'm going to take Oklahoma State. This one will be good, and I think it's going to be one of the few good Big 12 games we get this year. But I'm going to take the Cowboys in a close one.
I'm going to go with Oklahoma State at home in this one as well, because why, Lyle?
Because why?
He's lagging too.
Because why, Josh?
Because why not, Brady?
Because why not? I'm going Oklahoma State at home.
He's still lagging, so he's still I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this one. Pistol Pete for Lyle. I think we've regained Lyle's connection. Brady, maybe on this next.
Because why, Lyle?
Okay, because why not? I cut out.
There you go.
We got 4 more to get to. Number 8, Penn State at Indiana.
IU keeps it close for a half, but I think Penn State pulls out the 14-point win by the end.
Sorry, Brady. I'm taking Penn State.
Well, Josh, you just described the epitome of IU football, and that is keeping it close at half and then just blowing it in the second half. I'm going to go with Penn State, but this will be a decent showing from Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback returning starter for IU, and some good offensive weapons there. So I'm going to go with Penn State, but IU will have a decent showing.
Yeah, Indiana can make this thing interesting.
Prove me wrong, Indiana. Prove me wrong.
Interesting. I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions, but I wouldn't be shocked if Indiana, if they're up late in this game. 3 games left. Number 19, Virginia Tech at good old Wake Forest.
I'll flip the script a little bit on this, on you guys this time, but I'm taking Virginia Tech because why, Blake? Don't play with me.
I can't do it. I'm going to go with why not, Josh? Oh, that's what happens when you go to
I'm taking BT.
I'm going Virginia Tech.
We'll go Virginia Tech as well. Because why not? Number 18, Michigan, and number 21, Minnesota.
Let's see what Minnesota's got, right? For the time being, I'm going to take Michigan. I think they're a little bit of a more complete team despite not having a quarterback of, at least so far that we know of the caliber of Tanner Morgan. I'm going to take Michigan. I do think they're a little bit more complete heading into the season, and who knows, maybe this is Harbaugh's year to, get crazy. I like Michigan.
I'll take Minnesota. Close game, but I'm taking Minnesota.
This is game day. This is going to be the 7:30 game. But I think Michigan's just, Michigan. I think they're going to play really well against a good Minnesota team. I think Michigan's going to get the win here.
I'm going to go with the Gophers. I had him as my number 2 team in the Big Ten. I'm going to go with them at home in this one. Final game, guys. No worse the worst this week. So we got some American action. Number 9, Cincinnati at number 16, SMU.
Look, Blake, you were 3 years too early, but Shane Buechele and SMU, They seem pretty legit. But look, the difference maker in this game for me is defense, and SMU does not have one. Cincy has an explosive offense, and they've had a defense that's been worthy of a number 9 ranking in the country this year. So I'm going to take the Bearcats. I think they get the win. I think this is I know I just said they have a defense. I think this is a relatively high-scoring game. I'm going to go 31-28 Cincy.
I'm going to take Cincinnati by 10. I like Cincinnati on the road.
I'm a big fan, and I say this all the time on the show. I'm a big fan of Luke Fickell, what he's done throughout his career, what he can do now at Cincinnati. I think he's a season away from getting a bigger job than Cincinnati. But, hey, Cincinnati's number 9 right now in the country, so he's got his Bearcats team playing pretty well. So I'm going to go Luke Fickell and the Cincinnati Bearcats down at SMU in this game. I think Cincinnati's got a really good team this year.
As Josh said, I was 3 years too early on Shane Buechele, but him becoming a Heisman candidate is exactly what I knew I was talking about 3 years ago. I'm going to ride high with my Mustangs and Shane Buechele. 5 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Brady, you can write that down and put that on the board.
You want that a post-it note?
5 touchdowns for Shane Buechele, 375-plus total yards, and the victory. I guess the upset over number 9, Cincinnati.
How many over 375?
375 yards, 5 touchdowns, and the win, most important. For Shane Buechele, my Heisman winner over the Mustangs. Guys, that wraps up this extra long, extra fun, extra crazy, extra I don't even know what episode of the Harris Highlight Show. Make sure you guys go follow the show on Twitter at the HH Show _. You guys can win up to $50, maybe even more, depending on. So make sure you go follow over there. Turn on our notifications on our Twitters. That way you don't miss any of those tweets, because college game day or college football Saturdays is a lot of fun over at the HH Show _. There it is right there. Follow us on Instagram at Harris Highlight Show as well. You guys can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The link to that is in the description of this video, or you can go over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, search for us. You guys can become Patreon members for as little as $1 a month. All that information is in the description below. Guys, before we part ways for the week, any parting words for you guys? Short round says Dodgers by 15 tonight.
I like it, short round. Let's go Dodgers. Tony Gonsolin, the Catman. Let's get her done.
Blake, don't forget to remind me about the post-it notes for next week.
Oh, I'll remember.
I think we can. I think we can do this going forward too. Josh, Lyle, I think you guys should throw. I don't know, each like $700 in this, so we have like $1,450. In the thing
for right? What?
For the Twitter bet, right?
No? Okay, yeah. Lyle, so you want to throw it? Lyle, you cover me, and then when I get $1,400, I'll spot you. I'll get you back. Thanks, man.
Yeah, that sounds like as surefire of a slam dunk as you can have. So why not?
All right, so make sure to go follow us on Twitter at the HH Show _. Hopefully we'll be back next Tuesday night, same time, same normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern Tuesday night. But things change. Things are crazy. Who knows with how everything can go. So make sure to follow us on Twitter for updates in regards to what's happening with the show. That way, if we have to postpone, move the time, anything like that, you guys will know. But for Josh Schaefer, Lyle Goldstein, Brady Klein, this has been Blake Harris from my nice new apartment in beautiful Monrovia, California. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. Follow us on Twitter. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. Interact with us over there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry, I was about to just lose my breath there. Wow, Toby wants to know really quickly, were you a wide receiver?
I was not a wide receiver.
That's unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Adios, Love Shack. Adios, Short Round. Adios, everyone, for watching. Thank you guys so much.